Hello and welcome to chapter 1. So this is probably going to be a two-part because I like to do my lectures in 15-minute um, segments so that it's easy for you to do a better time management. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen with your PowerPoints for chapter 1. And here we go. So there's your book, and here's where it says chapter 1. Okay, so we're going to introduce intercultural communication. So what are we learning about? We're learning how to describe why it's important to learn about intercultural communication. Again, with all of our businesses being intercultural, we want to be an effective communicator to all. Identify and describe imperative reasons for learning about intercultural communication. You can come up with a couple of your own. Explain how self-awareness relates to intercultural, because sometimes we are unaware of what we're doing that might have a negative idea, reasoning, or effect on someone else. Recognize the importance of intercultural communication in gaining a better understanding of yourself and others, and be proud that I can discuss a field of experience language rather, from my generation, when I say the towers went down, we all know what we're talking about. So that's a language of experience. Explain how intercultural communication skills help you solve problems, learn new things, and build your career. Bingo, says it all. Okay, it's going to continue into defining it and identify 8 essential components of it, identify and describe 2 models. And again, if you took speech COM 109, you probably would know number 8 anyway, but we like to refresh your memory. Define and discuss how to facilitate. So facilitating is just like basketball. So you want to pass the ball around. Define and discuss the effects of ethnocentrism. So ethnocentrism is where one person may feel that their culture is better than the others. And identify and describe 5 types of communication contexts, and contexts is a synonym for situations. So I just want to check my timers. So an introduction, communication across differences in generation, language, geography, race, ethnicity, and sexual orientation is central to effective intercultural communication. So I definitely call this my big 7. I think there's 7 there. Language, geography, race, ethnicity, sexual orientation. So that's 5. And I usually include physical and mental abilities as well, but we're going to stick with your textbook's definition. So intercultural communication can be defined as interaction between people from different cultural backgrounds. And we love the word diversity, and it means the presence of different types of a unit within a specific system. So we can have diversity in demographics, different from urban to suburban to rural. Diverse communities offer many ways to approach and solve problems, provide a wealth of experience and examples, and promote increased specialization and independence. So again, let's bring up the military for a minute. We get a wealth of information when we study how people from rural areas are different than people from urban areas, and understanding human terrain is diverse. How a city dweller is different than a non-city dweller. Okay, so why intercultural communication is imperative. Environmental imperative. It's environmentally imperative. Imperative meaning vital, importance, having salience. So that means important to us. The consideration of our environment and our actions and interactions across cultures. So everyday world, your everyday life, everyone's from a different cultural experience, and we have to understand how we can better communicate in that respect. Peace imperative, the consideration of conflict and how we resolve it. Okay, that's your ultimate. I know we always want to get our own way, but we want to understand what is best for the situation and the people involved. And economic imperative, the consideration of economic activities as intercultural exchange interactions. So you will understand, see all these imperatives. So you know that's probably going to be a question on your exam, knowing all the differences between environmental, peace, economic, demographic, consideration of people we observe as part of a diverse population. So again, we have deserts, not like a food desert. So certain areas, perhaps in a city, may lack the ability to have fresh fruit and vegetables. So that's all demographic according to the population within that community. Technologically imperative, the consideration of changes in technology on the on communication. So I don't know how affected you were with COVID and technology, but in public schools in the city, in the beginning, everybody was not on the same page with the advancements in the use of technology. Awareness imperative, the consideration of the relationship between self and others. And that's important. Again, that's probably your lead into understanding communication in contexts. Ethical imperative, the consideration of ethics in intercultural interactions. And ethics is the hardest word to define. So you may have to look that one up. But we do have morals and values and being an ethical member of society, what that means. So each one of these we're going to go into specifically. And so environmental imperative, what occurs in one country's national borders impacts all nations. And if you watch the news, and if you don't, now's the time to, so that we can see how we manage our actions, both their intended and unintended messages, with the bullet before it, how one country's border affects the other. The peace conflict is an expressed struggle between two people. So we're getting the definition of conflict. And then our resolution is peace is not the absence of conflict, but a state in which we resolve conflict. And that the key word there is negotiation. That's what we want to understand. Okay, and then we're going to learn that globalization is a big word. So we trade with each other, specialize in our job tasks and functions, and come together in an increasingly interconnected global market through a process called globalization. And I think your generation definitely knows globalization more than perhaps mine because of all the marketing. Okay, so again, you can go through these slides and read the additional information to help you understand it. So demographics, and this is the demographic imperative, defined or general characteristics of a population and change over time. So we do know that demographics do change. City demographics change as people may be leaving the city as we get older, and younger people may be going in. So that's a demographics of change. Immigration is a demographic change, other people coming in and where they're immigrating from. And then heterogeneous refers to the state of a given population being diverse. So we want as many X as there are Y to make it stealth or heterogeneous. And imperialism is the assertion and the maintenance of control of one country over the other. And I think we understood that from our social studies class, perhaps, but here we're going to take a better look at because of culture, and some cultures are more imperial or use imperialism. And then colonization, or the establishment of economic and political power controlled by a distant imperial nation, is the process through which imperial nations create colonies. So this is important. And as you read, there are going to be more examples in your book to help you understand how about colonization, if you didn't come into this class knowing about colonization. Okay, technological imperative as the integration has increased through globalization. I know your generation has experienced that more, but the idea is now I got to communicate with everybody in different cultures. So your ability to communicate with me, that is less TikTok and less everything else. So that's your ability to effectively communicate, technologically imperative for all ages. Okay, and before we go to continue awareness imperative, the study on intercultural communication to an extent is also the study of self. After all the past slides, what is your core beliefs? How does this affect your intrapersonal communication within yourself? How does this change? How do you add? Again, we speak a language of experience rather than just I speak American English and that's all I speak and I don't speak any other language. It's untrue. Even the word cancer, if you've gone through a lifestyle dealing with someone with cancer, someone will understand that, and someone that hasn't done that, there's a different life experience. Okay, so the last one is ethical, I believe. Oh no, we had one more. I'm trying to get everything in on this. We may have to end this part one here. So ethical imperative, when we experience intercultural communication, we may find we do not understand each other's motivations because we do not grasp fundamental principles that drive us. So I may not understand, totally might not understand your ability to not watch the news. I love the news. You listen to whatever you listen to for 2 seconds to understand what's going on around the world. So you have your universalist position asserts that we need to identify the rules of that are cross-culturals, and relativistic assists that we need to identify the rules within a culture, make judgments within that view, and note that rules may be relative or different across cultures. So we're going to see which one is more advantageous and more used by an American culture or in other cultures. So I'm going to end part one here, and then we're going to pick up with the next slide. Okay, thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing and we'll pick up part two